Join us for 3 days in Orlando, Florida in March 2026 for an event designed to equip IT professionals like you with the tools, knowledge, and strategies to navigate the ever-changing cybersecurity landscape. Secure your spot and register to join us for 3 days of immersive learning, collaboration, and skill building with hands-on hacking labs and much more. Network with peers from around the globe. Share experiences and learn from real-world case studies, all aimed at enhancing your capabilities as an IT professional. Elevate your experience at the after party. Registration is now open. Register now for Zero Trust World 2026 and take the first step towards a more secure tomorrow.
Good morning and welcome to our latest webinar, DAC, or in your case, MacDAC.
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 DAC for Mac.
So Rob made his own special t-shirt today.
Yes.
So we have a DACA t-shirt.
MacDACer.
And Rob is a MacDACer.
Yes.
But just like everything with Macs, it was put together with a toaster rather than a real printer.
That is uncalled for.
Is that true?
No. Yeah, well, yes, it was put together with a toaster.
Okay, cheese toaster.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about DAC, Defense Against Configuration, and what does that mean? It means that reality is there are so many security tools out there on the market now. There's so many solutions to stop cyber attacks, yet they keep happening. And if you're blocking untrusted software, if you're shutting down ports on your firewall, if you don't have VPNs open, if you're patching your software, if you're ring fencing your applications, you shouldn't get hit with a cyber attack. Agreed? But people do, and most often that's because of configuration failures. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we spent the last 6 months working on
This one's my fault. Sorry. Peter's just said, why was my SE confused when I asked about dumbass configurations?
Oh.
That's completely my fault.
The SE didn't know.
The SE didn't know what dumbass configurations were.
Okay. Well, there you go. DAC, Defense Against Configuration, otherwise known as
dumbass configurations,
is a way of knowing what's wrong in your configuration. And it started off that we want to be able to tell you all of your ThreatLocker configurations that are wrong. And then we realized, why are we just looking at ThreatLocker? Why don't we look at the whole operating system? So we'll say, why don't we look at, have you got a lock policy in your screensaver? Are you enabling macros in Office? Are you blocking USB drives? Obviously, that's probably a ThreatLocker one. Are you... I don't know, there's 170 checks and I've got to remember them all now.
Yeah, no chance of remembering them all.
Okay.
Anytime I'm presented with a...
So we launched a beta version of this in, 3 months ago?
Beginning of August.
Beginning of August. And today we have over 170 DAC checks on the endpoint, and we're adding about 20 per build of ThreatLocker. So if you're running 10.74, that will give you the most checks. We also just launched it into beta on Mac.
Yes, as of today.
And how many checks do we have? Not 170.
Not many.
Not many, but we did launch.
That many.
We did launch it for Mac. Obviously, less configuration checks on Mac
because they're just more secure.
Child's safe. So, and we want to walk through how you use that, why it's important. There's a new version of that we just pushed this morning, and there's some really cool new features of that. So, let's get started with that. Now, first of all, if I'm going to share my screen here, we'll see the new dashboard. This is available on beta, I believe, right now.
Yes.
You can go in and see the new dashboard. A couple of things that have changed on the new beta dashboard is you can see a much nicer view. So we can see here, first of all, what our percentage of configurations are right. So 68% of our configurations are right, which is down. So it means we messed something up in our test environment and we broke something. We can see where we stand from weak to strong. And we can also see our percentile, and this percentile is going to become very, very important soon. Now, it says I'm 100 percentile. I'm not 100 percentile.
Deliberately.
It doesn't deliberately say I'm 100 percentile. The reason it's saying I'm 100 percentile is because literally it was the first DAC report that ran on the new build. So I am number one once we push this out, but that's going to change very, very rapidly. I hope that's going to change very rapidly because that means
other people have it.
Other people have really bad configurations as well. So this is actually going to show you where you rank across your peers.
Just one comment on the dashboard. James has asked, Danny, who dislikes pretty dashboards, approved this ?
I'm somewhat discontent about the curve here. It's just not aligning right.
But it is a sexy chart, sexy dashboard, and you approved it.
You want to know sexy? You want to see the new Detect dashboard that's coming out,
Ooh.
full of data.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, so it's going to show you your risks very streamlined here. It's going to show executive summary information, like 11% of your environment is free from misconfigurations tested across 9 endpoints. Not great. And we can show lots of other data, and then a trend over history. Now, these are the checks. So this shows you every check, failure, right through to pass. So if I could get my mouse to work properly, go to here, let's look at what I've passed on. IP scanning tools are limited to specific users. I don't have any IP scanning tools. That's really good. Network default deny policy is present. That means I've got a block on all
incoming network
traffic. So that's really important. We can see things like auto run and autoplay is disabled. So we can click on these. We can actually see details of why this is important, what it's going to check. In this case, it's a Windows check. So we're literally just checking a registry key. And we have, we're saying if this is set, it passes because we've disabled auto run. If it's failed, we can see which machines failed. In this case, it's passed, so we don't have to. And if there's a configuration manager policy, which there will be for most of these, you can go straight into here and download the configuration manager policy to apply it if you haven't already done so. So we want to make this as easy as possible for you to fix configuration issues. New one that I found out about this morning that we were failing about internally was Control-Alt-Delete. Maybe, is it written like this? We'll find out now. So requiring to press Control-Alt-Delete when, I don't know what it's called though. Apparently it's a DAC check, so maybe I haven't got it on.
What does it check for?
It checks that you have to press Control-Alt-Delete to log into your machine.
Oh.
Which has just been enabled recently on staff. And
I see.
Which was a interesting one because I was like, why is that a security feature? And it's like, well, because somebody can put a fake login screen, and if you make Control-Alt-Delete, it's going to, your login screen.
There.
It stops people doing that. So bunch of checks here, and we can go through them. Now, we can also align them to compliance. So some of these alignments are going to be looser because compliance is always one of those things they don't like to say what you should do. They just like to say a lot of words.
Yes.
Kind of like my kids.
Word salad.
But if there are compliance, we'll align them. So here, these are all the relevant compliance for disabling macros. So if I go into something like CIS controls, it's got some pretty prevent untrusted code in Microsoft Office applications is the control 2.3. If I go into something like CMMC, media protection, protect at rest. See, these are a little bit more loose. They're just saying general words that could apply to everything. But we're going to say this is why this might apply to this control as well, so you can see that. So the dashboards come a long way. Now, before we start going into reporting, because I think that's the most impressive part, is we want to hear from you what you want us to check on your system. We are adding checks every single month. So if you've got ideas for checks, throw them in the chat, throw them in the Q&A.
Let us know.
Let us know what you want us to check for, and we'll tell you we're going to go figure out how we can check for this, because we want to make sure your systems are properly configured. We want to make sure that you're alerted if they're not configured. So one of the checks we added recently was if you've got an RMM tool like ConnectWise Automate or Kaseya, you should delay the start of that tool. It's really important that it never starts before your security tools. So we actually added that as a check. If you've got a service, is it set to delayed start and not automatic start? So you delay the startup by 30 seconds, but it also means it starts after all of your security tools. So if you've got things like that, please check it. Another cool one we added recently was actually looking for vulnerabilities in your configuration non-quoted services. So if you register a service with C program files, my app, and set it to run on the system, and you don't put it in quotes, you can now start. Any user can drop program.exe in the startup folder, and it will start instead of the C drive, and it will start instead of service. So we're actually going to check for all of these vulnerabilities as well.
Bunch of questions. Weston, can I search for specific frameworks?
You cannot search for specific frameworks. We will be doing more of a compliance framework platform. It will show you which framework it applies to, but you can't filter by those frameworks right now. In the future, we're going to be working on a compliance product, which allows you to actually be far more detailed on what you can do from a framework perspective. Right now, we'll show you the frameworks and we'll show you where they might be relevant.
Daniel, is there a way to have all child organizations in our care show up under DAC? We have a few thousand endpoints, yet only 48 show up under DAC with include child organizations checked.
So if you check include child organizations, it should show up, but it has to be turned on for all of the child organizations. So it may be that it's not showing up because the option's not set. Just a reminder, it is still in beta, so we're not turning it on in its masses right now, but we will be in the future.
A follow-up question to that, when is DAC coming out of beta?
When we are happy there's 0 bugs in it. So it's okay, so the expectation is that it will be out of beta within 2 weeks. And when that will be, it will be in ThreatLocker version, the next major build of ThreatLocker, and it will be automatically applied to an endpoint without an option turned on once it's out of beta. We won't push it to endpoints that haven't got the latest build, but it will be there.
Christopher, what version do you need to be on for the new dashboard?
Okay, so the new dashboard is technically, you can just go to the beta URL. You don't have to be on a version, but you won't get all the checks unless you're on the latest agent version. Every agent version is adding about 20 checks to it.
Okay, 2 people have asked follow-up questions to the RMM after your security tools question. Rich, why is the delay for RMM important? It has never been an issue. John, I'll ask the dumb question. Why should I delay my RMM to start after security tools?
Okay, so, and mostly security tools, we have early load drivers. It's actually always been an issue with RMMs. RMMs have always been an issue in general. If you have an RMM, and most of the time, they're kind of slow anyway, so they don't do things too quickly, but they can do really, really powerful things. So anything that starts before your security tools potentially has a gap. Now, we have the ability, and security vendors have the ability to do what's called an early load driver, but the early load driver actually goes out and has to add explicit things to the deny list. It doesn't have the same power of detection and response or full whitelisting. So there's a few seconds or even milliseconds when a system starts where something could run before your security tools, and that's bad. Now, we'll do things like check any services that are registered to make sure they're in the list. But when you start dealing with RMMs, you deal with...
Fundamentally, you're running something that can push software that could theoretically push something like ransomware.
Or start removing files for your security tools before your security tools start, and delaying the start of your security tools. In most cases, RMMs aren't particularly fast, but they can be, and you should delay the start. 30 seconds isn't going to cause you chaos, and it's not even 30 seconds in most cases, but that 5 to 30 seconds could make the difference between your RMM, someone putting a script to run immediately on the start of the RMM.
Remove my security tools.
Remove my security tools from the system before the security tools can protect themselves. Like I said, in most cases, we have tamper protection on early driver loading, so it helps, but it's always a good idea to do this. And while we haven't seen too many cases of it, we have seen cases of security software being set to load really early to bypass security tools.
Another good one here. Is DAC better for non-managed machines that don't use group policy or Intune? Or have you seen customers who utilize one or the other use DAC as well? The last thing you want is multiple places applying configuration policies.
Okay, so DAC has got nothing to do with applying policies. That's Configuration Manager. And Configuration Manager is really, really good for unmanaged machines. And it's really good for managed machines.
Across multiple environments.
And multiple environments. So if you have Intune and you manage everything through Intune, it's going to be really, really useful for you to you can just leave your configurations through Intune. What DAC is going to do is it's going to tell you when your configurations are bad. And one of the challenges I think people are often IT professionals and security professionals aren't aware of is how many new potential things you should be looking for every day. So every day there's thousands of vulnerabilities, or month, there's thousands of vulnerabilities, there's new configurations that you should put on because there's a change in Microsoft's recommendation, there's new ways that attackers are using. So for example, we always recommend that you don't allow applications to do more than they need to, and we had default policies for MSHTA before. 3-4 months ago, attackers started using MSHTA. So that suddenly becomes a really, really important configuration to stop MSHTA going out to the internet. So what DAC is going to do is it's just going to check it every day. And every time there's a new build, we're going to pile in those new configuration checks. So you're not going to have to go out onto the internet and start searching what new security configuration should I be putting in today, because we're going to be monitoring them for you. So now, whether you use ThreatLocker to fix it or configuration manager, shall I say, to fix it. If it's a Windows configuration, obviously if it's a ThreatLocker, you need to use ThreatLocker to configure it, fix it. But if it's a Windows configuration, whether you use ThreatLocker or group policy, it doesn't matter. We're gonna test group policy. We're gonna test the registry key, test that the configuration's in place, and we're gonna report a pass. The other thing we're gonna do with DAC, and that's in the next build, I believe, is we're also doing external port scans. So we will actually go off and make sure that the client isn't able to be accessed from the internet. So the client will go out to the internet and say, check my IP, and it's going to return back and say, okay, you've got no ports open, or you've got RDP open. So we're going to constantly evaluate the outside of your firewall. I think that's in the next build. So it's not so much about doing the configuration, because you can use configuration manager, you can use storage control, you can use network control, you can use group policy, you can use your RMM, you can use lots of different methods to enforce the configuration. It's more about knowing what's happening. And should you use ThreatLocker or should you use Active Directory? I don't think I really care. I like ThreatLocker's configuration manager. We bundle it with pretty much all of our products, so it's not like you have to pay extra for it. But I do like it because it means if a machine's at home, it's going to recheck that configuration every 5 minutes.
And it's also good for, as I said, multiple environments. It's good for machines that are on domain, off domain, could be on different ADs, all that kind of stuff. It makes it a lot easier.
And if you do have two different settings, it does cause a problem because it will literally just keep switching backward and forward. Yeah. So Microsoft will set it up. So if you put your screen lock policy, for example, in group policy to 15 minutes and you set it as 10 minutes in ThreatLocker, we're going to set it as 10. Microsoft's going to set it as 15. We're going to set it as 10. Microsoft's going to set it as 15.
Good news is we'll probably do it quicker than Microsoft because they'll take their sweet ass time.
Yeah, we verify every 5 minutes on the configuration manager. Again, technically nothing to do with DAC, just a good companion for it.
On the subject of MSHGA, Dave Barnes, is the MSHGA bug fixed? It's still showing in our environment.
The MSHGA bug is fixed, definitely in the new build to ThreatLocker. So long as you've deployed the new build to ThreatLocker, it should be clean.
Anonymous 10D, will it alert me if users are using an inferior OS like Windows 10?
Yes.
I mean, you could just say an inferior OS like Windows full stop, but let's go with an inferior OS like Windows 10.
Okay. Well, the good news is you don't get old Mac OSs because they expire after, 2 months?
With proper order. Yeah. Stop people running out-of-date operating systems.
So it will tell you. So I'm going to search for Windows 10, but maybe that's too generic a term. We need to get AI built into this. That's one thing we are working on, is AI into our searches. Our operating system is past service, end of service. If I go into here, I can see my DAC checks. I can see what's failed. I've only got one machine failed. And if I'm running ThreatLocker patch management, it's going to show me.
I hope you are.
Which I hope I am. I can actually upgrade to Windows 11 directly from here.
That's really cool.
That is really cool. Again, make sure you're on the latest build of ThreatLocker to do this. So you can click here, upgrade. We can also add notes to the machine from here directly. So maybe this machine can't be uploaded. So you'll say, add a note telling people not to upgrade this machine because it'd be really bad.
Two linked questions. Clint, can we adjust the dashboard reporting to ignore desired control? Some environments may need to use some of these Windows features and we don't want to lower our percentage complete stats. Second question, Avi, looking forward to being able to tag and close some checks that don't apply or are part of business acceptance. Some risks just need to be accepted.
Okay, so second one I agree with, first one I don't with. So risks do need to be accepted. What we are going to do is add the ability to add it to accepted. We're not going to not tell you about the risk. We're going to tell you that you have 14 critical failures that you've accepted, and you're going to accept them for a period of time, and then you're going to have to re-accept them after the fact. Just because you don't believe that it's necessary to add a control doesn't mean you shouldn't know that you're making that decision constantly. So
because you may well forget about it.
And changing your overall score because you've accepted a risk is not a reality. It's still, you've still got to understand that, okay, I've accepted that I'm going to allow macros in Office. That's a risk. I'm aware of it, and my score is dented. As giving yourself an A when you get a B is not is not a reality. So we will be adding a feature in to add accepted risks, and in this case it will say this is an accepted risk, but it's still going to show is you've got 14 critical errors, of which 12 you've accepted, and you accept them for a certain period of time. It's not going to change your score, because the reality is having macros enabled adds risk to your environment. and you should be aware that it adds risk to your environment. And it's absolutely fine if you say that I think the risk is small because I'm also using ring fencing on Office so it can't call to PowerShell. I'm running untrusted software. So the idea of someone causing problems with macOS is relatively small, but it's not zero, which means it has to apply to your score. So when you're calculating your risks, always know that we have one red on ThreatLocker, which bothers me every single day, but I'm not going to bury my head in the sand and say it's not there. I know the risk. I know what it does. I know what it means. It's basically it's a share that has ISO files on it. We can't protect it using dynamic ACLs because the machines that are connecting to it are inside the virtual machines, and they're test machines for testing operating systems and things. So we accept we've got one risk. We're accepting that risk. It's still going to show up every month. And then the idea with this feature is it's going to be time-based, so you're going to have to re-accept that risk periodically because otherwise it's going to
get forgotten about.
And you need to know, okay, I'm re-accepting this risk, but it will not change your score. If your score's 90% with that risk, your score's 90%.
Matthias, similar question. Is there a way to select a device to skip for a specific check? I want to get my list clean, and sometimes there is a risk because this is required for some reason. Maybe show it as a warning, not an error. Then it does not get out of my view, but is not shown as an error anymore.
So again, that will be when we add the accepted risk, it will show that you've got 5 criticals that are accepted for X device. Again, it's still a failure. You have to know that this is a failure. You just see it as now accepted risk. The filter will essentially show, rather than low risk, medium risk, accepted critical risk.
We do have somebody asking about how to turn on DAC. How do I access DAC?
Okay, so if for the beta, and the beta is not particularly high risk. I mean, there's no such thing as zero risk, but it's not like when DAC's running and we've had 0 issues with someone saying there was a problem with the agent. The beta is more likely if something was wrong, it's more likely, hey, it tested, like MSHDA had an issue, it was failing the test, and it shouldn't have been. But if we go into the settings on the organization page here, we can go into options, and we just want to type enable DAC and then click add. So we just basically type enable DAC, click on that drop down. It won't do it again because I've already got it in there. I'll just delete it and re-add it. And then hit save. And then we do that, it will now be enabled within 24 hours. You'll be able to see that DAC dashboard. If you want the new dashboard, make sure you're using the beta URL.
Cool. Nico, are there auto reporting options, say monthly or weekly? Are these screens part of co-managed?
Okay, so I'm going to show you now the different reporting options. So first of all, not only is it monthly reporting options, once you turn DAC on, it's going to email you your critical summary. And it's going to show you you've got a summary, you've got 5 failures. You can remove people from that email, and it doesn't go to sub-clients automatically. You'd have to schedule them if you've got co-managed clients. So it's not, if you've got a sub-customer, it's not going to email them saying they've got configuration failures anymore. But it will, you can add it if you want it to, but it won't by default. But it will email the parent. The parent is going to give you a consolidated view, and you can remove up to 2. So to get into the DAC reports, we'll go into the health center here, and we click on scheduled reports. So here I can see I have a DAC report that's enabled weekly. This is the default report, so you'll see there's no delete. I can click configure on this. I can remove, so it automatically adds all your admins, or at least your super admins, in here. I can remove them from here, and I can add other users to this report. I can also create custom reports that aren't necessarily exactly the same, but if I go back into here, I could say I want to make a new DAC report. And in here, I could say I want to get a 30-day view or a current day view sent to this email address. We can also include this pre-authenticated link. What this means is you will be able to see the DAC report, you'll be able to, but you won't be able to make changes on it without having to log in. So it's going to basically send you a magic link, if you like. I don't really like the word magic link. It means once you've got that email, you can see it, but you're not going to be able to log in and make changes to the portal. But it gives you a little bit more freedom if you don't want to have to log in every day just to check your status. I'm going to show you what that report looks like now, because that's the next big upgrade. Scheduled report. So if I click on my preview here, it looks like this. It's a PDF. It can be printed out, downloaded as a PDF. Printed, and you can see everything else. It will give you an executive summary. This is based on the report time, bearing in mind. I think if I can get another report to run quick enough. There is a cap. Well, the ultimate cap is once per day you can run this, and it will run by itself. we are allowing you to run it up to 4 times per day right now, just because we're flushing out any bugs and people might want to retest their configuration. So if I run that again, see if we can get new data. But if I go into here, I can see things like executive summary. I can see how many critical, high, moderate risks I have. I can see a grade sheet. So I can see in this case, of 118 checks, your organization's overall security grade has gone down. I can see where they are, the groups and categories. So this is a really nice view. I can see my trend. So you can see here, and we're going to expect to see this for the next few months, the number of failures going up every week. And the reason you'd expect to see this is we're adding checks, which means you're going to see more failures as we add more checks. Now, your score might not get worse because every time we add a check, we might pass a check or fail a check, but you definitely expect to see the risks increasing. So we can see here how many risks at different levels, potential compliance violations. And this is, I think, the most important part of this report, because you can give this to your board, your executives, you can say why this is important. So each failure I have here, so we've intentionally disabled tamper protection on a machine. It's saying we have tamper protection disabled. These are the potential frameworks, why this matters, how we resolve the issue, potential impact. This is the potential risk. It gives you text and why you shouldn't do this. And I'm going to see if I can find some of these have really good real world examples as well. So let's see what this one is. No permanent elevation. So it says real world example. The Notapeta breach in 2017 highlights the importance of use with the elevation of command prompts. After a gaming freehold of a victim endpoints, the attack would utilize elevated command prompt privileges to deploy commands that include ransomware. So it'll give you real examples as well. Sometimes it will give you like literally a case of WannaCry was exploiting this vulnerability. Again, so we got BitLocker here, how many failed, how many passed, how to resolve, what the potential impact for the company. So everything that you've got a critical or high failure in, eventually we'll do all of the failures. You'll get a nice PDF here that tells you the risk factor and lots of detail about it, how many machines were failed. So you can use that and just take that out of the report to present to somebody why we should do this.
There's some doozies here. And just while you're on the subject of the report, Kelby, is there a way to have the report sent automatically on a weekly basis?
Yeah, so it is sent by default on a weekly basis, and I'll go back into here just to show you how to configure it in more detail. So if we click here, we have the DAC report currently. This is the default report. If I click configure, I can see who it's going to, and I can see the time frame and how frequently it goes. I can change this. I think I can change it to monthly when it starts and who it goes to. That will go out, and this shows the organization. And then this one will automatically include child organizations. And then I can also go into my schedule report and I can create a new report that has different. So if you say, hey, I want to get it every day, but I want it to go out to the company once a month or once a week, you can do that as well.
Now, I like this one. I understand DAC monitors OS security concerns, but what about misconfigured ThreatLocker policies? For example, ThreatLocker policies that should have ring fencing or are overly permissive or have whitelisted directories.
And that's really the reason we created.
It's where it started, yeah.
So yes, it monitors ThreatLocker policies, and let's see if we've got any here. So no permanent elevation policy for command prompt. So let's use this as an example. When I click on this, I look on my suggested computers. It says that the analysis will check that command prompt doesn't have a permanent elevation policy. It gives me resolutions, but if I click on my failed machines, so I can see here Culture Global Workstation, hostname 100-day webinar. It has a policy called elevation command in workstations. So I can go into here, I can actually click on the policy, and I can see it applies to workstations, command prompt, and elevation is allowed. So I can either turn off elevation. Now there's going to be another failure on this one, which is command prompt isn't ring fenced because it's also not ring fenced. I can turn off ring fence, or I can just turn off this entire policy here as well, because that's not a good policy, and it'll go back to the default there. And that will allow me to, if you're actually doing tests on policies, it's a really good idea because we haven't imposed a limit, certainly yet, to stop you how often you rerun the check at the endpoint. So in DAC, I know I can do this somewhere. Where did the DAC checks go at the endpoint? Let me just check a different tab. go to the individual devices here, although I have to click DAC. So if I want to run it at a specific endpoint, I can click view DAC results for that endpoint. I can also run the DAC check there for that endpoint. So it will rerun that exact check and I can see if it worked.
Excuse me. Maybe rerun the DAC check again, because I just created a lovely overly permissive.
I'm not sure if it's going to let me keep running this DAC check. I feel I can do it on individual machines. Which one? Any particular machine you want me to?
Well, technically, I set it for the entire organization.
Yeah, but so I can use any machine. So what I'll do is I'll rerun it on one machine, and I'll pick 100-day webinar, and I'll just I clicked the wrong button, and I'll just run the DAC check there. Oh, I don't have one on this one. Is this one off? It's active. Oh, I clicked the syslog ingester. That's why. It's not going to run on there. Run DAC check.
Search for permissive. Damn, might take a minute.
We'll give it a minute to run. Okay. So here's one. Is this the one you just created?
What's it called?
No over permitted items by Microsoft certificate.
No.
So in this case here, we've got I'll look at this one. This is another good example. We've got a policy. Let's read what the explanation is. It says the analysis checks that there are no application control policies to set permit with a Microsoft certificate rule in the application allow listing environment. Allowing software solely because it's signed by Microsoft may seem like safe and efficient. However, Microsoft has a wide range of tools that can be bad. So going into here, seeing which one failed. So if I click more details, again, I can see my dumb policy.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I can see
the dumb application that the dumb policy is.
The dumb application, the dumb policy and in here. Oh, this one's actually hit the C colon.
Yeah. That was the one I created.
Okay, so here, obviously, I'm going to delete this application rule. Or delete the whole application would be good.
Delete the application, delete the policy.
And that will save that problem.
So, Dave, just to confirm that, overly permissive checks are incredibly useful. Flagged one up enabled by RMSP. Naughty, naughty. Thanks for the awesome tools.
Actually, I was surprised that we found quite a few configurations in our own environment that I wasn't happy with, but I was happy that we found them. Including we had a user that had command prompts or PowerShell permanently elevated. Which was, why would we be allowing someone to elevate PowerShell completely? So that allowed us to go in, find out what happened.
Was that someone new?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay, just checking. Now,
I would have noticed and I think what happened is someone was doing a certain test, a debug. It was a developer, but they were doing debugging and testing, and someone had asked for it. And instead of creating a temporary policy, they created a permanent policy. And it allows you to see these things really quick. So, and we're constantly adding checks. Every time we see a customer do something wrong, we go in and add that as a check. Do you have this policy in place?
Yeah. To be honest, my favorite ones are the overly permissive ones, because they are the ones that I would, well, I'm not going to say keep me up at night, but should keep you up at night is, has somebody done something they shouldn't? Have they created a policy allowing everything to run from C users star? We've seen that in the past, and we've seen that be misused in the past. Now, I have a really interesting one here. Anonymous attendee. So I often wonder why people are running very old versions of ThreatLocker when really shouldn't. Anonymous attendee, are you going to add the legacy policies into current config manager, or is there an alternative for the restricting local admin tools? I'm stuck on 8.7 because I need these policies.
Restricting local
admin tools. I mean, you can do that with application control.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so the reason they were removed, because again, it's causing confusion. So restricting local admin tools is
something you can do with application control.
It's something you can do with application control. And the problem is with doing it with Microsoft. The Microsoft configurations, they're good, but the reality is they're not very strong. You can actually turn them off relatively easy. So having them in place is good because it makes an attacker's life harder, but it's not the most effective way to do things. Sticking on 8.7 will lose all of the new features.
It's crazy.
The reason we removed that from there is because people were configuring it there and configuring it for ThreatLocker and causing so much confusion. So the best way to block admin tools is do it in ThreatLocker, and you can also do it in response to an attack too. So one of the checks in DAC is if I open whoami.piv or if I get an indicator of compromise, I'm going to shut down all admin tools completely until it's resolved by the SOC or by MDR.
So could I just suggest, anonymous attendee, reach out to your account manager, reach out to your SE if you're in contact with them, and just let them help you get what you need set up, because it's crazy to be running 8.7 now just because of that.
It's also really bypassable as the Microsoft block admin tools. So you just rename PowerShell and you can run it.
Yeah.
So it's better to block PowerShell by blocking PowerShell or MMC or whatever you'd like to block. Okay.
Nicholas, can you pull the report on demand as well?
You can. So you can pull the report. Well, kind of. So obviously this is the dashboard, which is always on demand. You can go to your scheduled reports and you can create a report immediately if there's not one gone before, but you can click at the last ran report here, and this will show you the last ran report. You can also create a new report. So you say, hey, I want to get a report sent right now. So we say daily DAC report. And I'm going to say, or maybe I'm just going to pick my Mac DAC report, and I'll pick my Mac group or whatever that may be. And then you could say, I want to see the last 7 days. I won't do that because I don't know if we've got any data for Mac, but I'll say the last 7 days. I'll send it to my email. So I'll say Danny and click add. I can do pre-auth link if I don't want to click on it. And if I set this to yesterday, it will immediately create that report. So that will be there within a few minutes.
Avi, when you issue a DAC check on a particular machine, where can you see it has run and is complete?
If you do a DAC check so they're all in here, but if you want to look at a particular machine, you can go into the devices tab and you can just click on the shield here and it will show you all of the checks for that particular machine in history and what happened when it last ran. So you can see here one ran at 11:25 and it failed on the C drive for BitLocker.
Right. Really slowly, we've about 5 people looking for DAC in the portal and not being able to enable it. Can we do this one more time with feeling?
Okay, so what we need to do, enable to turn on DAC, first of all, it takes 24 hours for it to show up in the portal right now because it has to go and run the checks and it will push the agent. So these are the requirements. The first thing is your computers are on a version that supports DAC. So if you go into the groups page, you can literally just say update ThreatLocker version if it's not already on one. I'm somewhat confused about that. So we say update ThreatLocker version. We pick the version, 10.7.3 is the latest. I'm going to update all of my groups. Obviously, we won't update the Mac groups. That means it's on a version that supports ThreatLocker. The second thing to do is make sure that DAC is turned on at the organization. This will happen by itself once we release it out of beta, but you can go, oops, I clicked on something I shouldn't do. You can go to options here, and you can click on the options for the organization. So you go into the organizations, you click on the cog here.
Yeah.
Then you type in the options here, type the word enable DAC, just like this. Capital E. I don't know if it's case sensitive, but I've always typed it like this.
Yes.
So capital E, capital DAC. And we click on there, click save. This will enable it at the organization, which means it's now going to tell your machines to run their DAC check. The next thing you need to do is just wait. Wait 24 hours. You'll see it appear within 24 hours. If you don't, please log a ticket immediately, but I haven't heard of anyone not having it appear within 24 hours.
Agreed.
As long as you've got the right version on the agents, you've got the option enabled. If you don't want to enable, you have to enable it at the org. Yes, it has to be enabled at the org. It will be enabled by itself in probably 10.8 or maybe 11. I'm not sure if we're doing a major build for it.
Once it's, strange question from Anthony. Are you going to allow DAC to support servers, not just workstations, such as servers running IIS for best practices, etc.?
We do support servers, and you should be running it on all your servers.
Yes. Well, maybe it's more specifically around things like IIS best practices.
So we do have IIS checks in there that wouldn't. So one of the checks, for example, if we go, can I seal it if I don't have a failure? But let me go into my health center. will do things like, I know one of the IIS ones is actually RD Gateway. I guess if I don't have a server, it doesn't show as a check. So RD Gateway, for example, if you've got an RD Gateway, it'll make sure that it's locked down. It's only allowing from dynamic ACL. So we do have a number of checks, and we're doing more and more checks on IIS. If there's certain checks you'd like in IIS, or there's a best practice document you'd like us to implement, please share that in the chat, and we'll take a note of it. Because we want to make sure we're testing as many things as possible. Right now, we're going through prioritizing security first checks. But if you know IIS best practices is one that you'd like to see, we will add that into there. And what it'll do is it'll check that IIS is installed, and if it is, it will run the checks.
Interesting. Brennan has said, I had to get my account permissions adjusted in the portal to see DAC when I was first set up.
Okay, so if you are not the owner of the account, if you've been given permissions, you may have to get permissions assigned to you if you've been given permissions on certain roles. So just make sure you go in there and you can see in the permissions. And I'm assuming it's called DAC or Defense Scheduled DAC Report. View DAC results will be 2 permissions you want to add. They should be there if you're a super admin or if you're the owner. But if you're not, someone may have to give you those permissions.
Interesting one. Will DAC report on devices connected to my network that are not running ThreatLocker?
So there's a couple of things it will do. So right now we're working on a check that will scan your network. But in order to do this, you're going to have an option where you say this is a scanner node. So it won't just every device. We can't have every device scanning the network because it will send your network into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have the option to have a scanner node, which will scan your network and report on all devices that aren't running ThreatLocker. The second thing it will do is report on things like dynamic ACLs to make sure that those devices can't see the servers, can't see your trusted devices.
I apologize if this is already asked or demonstrated, but for compliance reasons, will there be a way to manually close DAC detections, noting any exceptions or compensating controls, and have that information documented on the reports?
So we
pretty much covered that, but
I think the acceptance of risk, there will be a feature to accept a risk, and it will still be on the report. It will not change your score. It will only say that there's an accepted risk here, and it'll be accepted with reasons and for a time period. And you have to re-accept that risk every period so often.
Barry, just realized that ThreatLocker is different from Threater/Threat Blocker. It's taking you this long, Barry. Anyway.
Very, very different, but that's not something.
So apparently I've started a trend. Kelby wants to know, how do I get one of those Mac DAC shirts?
Yes.
So first of all, you get just a DAC shirt, and then you get your marketing department to use a sandwich press to stick the Mac bit on top.
Okay, so first of all, how do you get a DAC shirt? Now, when you go into your DAC report on beta, you'll notice there's a if it loads, there is a percentile, and I'm currently at 100 percentile again. Today's percentile, ignore it, because literally the report just went live. It's the first thing that's ran, so I am best DACer on that instance of ThreatLocker.
Yeah, now.
But in 3 hours I won't be, because ThreatLocker staff will rerun it, and it's going to take the 100 percentile stuff apart because I think it's the cleanest. If your percentile at the end of the month, not this month, next month, the end of November, is over 90%, we mail you one of these strong DACer shirts. And this is the front. A person who is obsessed with, what does it say? I forget. Strong security configurations is the definition of DACer, and the back is a nice green logo saying you're strongly assured. You have to be over 90% throughout the organization, including child orgs, at the end of November, and we will send it. I wouldn't pay attention to your score today, because a lot of people's scores are going to go live, and you'll start seeing it go down pretty quickly. So
cool. Can I ask our excellent people in the room, could you post the knowledge base link to the DAC article just to enable it again to everyone, if you don't mind?
I think, does that still say turn on debug? If it does, you can ignore the debug.
About that,
you can ignore the debug step now. Well, I think we're actually, it's at this point it's irrelevant. It was very useful at the very beginning. There's another T-shirt as well. So there's
Christopher Smart Art. At least they don't say failure on it. I'm presuming reference to the fact. Yes.
So we also have another DAC shirt available that you can choose from if you're a top score. And it's called the DAC Attack shirt. So we're going to have to get a vote now. DAC Attack or DACA? Let's see. Put it in the Q&A which one you prefer for the next 30 seconds. DAC Attack or DACA? Let's pull the DAC Attack back up. We'll show the DACA one more time.
Oh my
Dictionary definition, not to be confused with, well, I won't say that. DACA or DAC Attack?
I'm going to say DAC Attack seems to be more popular, although there is a lot of DACA there as well. David Barnes, is there a black market dumbass controls version? Apparently, according to Jack, DACR sounds more enterprise. Lisa wants Mac
I bet
DACR.
no one in Ireland said it sounded more enterprise.
Both are cool, apparently. What about back in DAC? No.
There is another shirt being made. Apparently, the T-shirt got very excited when it comes to DAC, so we actually have a third one, which will be to replace our NAC to the future to DAC to the future.
Yes, I was wondering when that was going to happen.
Yeah, well, we needed it. We were renamed Network Access Control to Network Control, so that kind of broke the whole.
But it also opened the door for using it with DAC, so I approve.
So
yeah, I think DAC Attack is probably most anonymous attendee. A valid question. Why not both?
Well, we're making both. So I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? If you get to the 95%, you get both.
Ooh, that's a good one. And by the way, Peter says I'd buy the dumbass configurations version. That is how much he
Is
likes
that Peter Donnelly?
No, it's a different Peter. It's not that Peter.
Okay.
It's Peter Charnley. I'd buy the dumbass configurations version. That is how much people love the dumbass configurations version.
So
we did a poll, so they can answer on the poll if they want.
Okay.
Oh, I have no idea where the poll goes.
Yeah. Okay. So what else do we need to cover in that? Okay. So the most important things. IIS, if we're going to go and make sure they're in there, but if you've got controls, please ask your account manager, throw them in the chat here. If you things you want to monitor on your machine, we will monitor those things on your machine, and we'll make sure that they're running and not stopped. And we can check a PowerShell script to check if something's running. We can check registry keys. We can add all of those controls in. So please, we want to make sure the goal of this is people are securing their environment. That's the ultimate goal, because we can't have people getting ransomware who have bought all of the right tools, just
don't
fail to deploy them properly. It's okay to have some failures on the report, but obviously know what those failures are and accept them, or don't accept them and fix them.
Anonymous attendee, I just hope if you do another webinar covering DAC that you'll call it Return of the DAC. Nice.
There's going to be so many names for this.
Yeah, I know. Nick has said, Rob, I'm on 10.5.2. I'm pretty sure you need at least 10.6 for DAC. Is that right?
You want
to be on 10.7.
Okay, so I thought 10.5.3 had the first ones in, but there's going to be so few checks. You should be on 10.7.
Yeah, it should be on 10.7.
Yeah,
3 at this point.
So that should get you all of the checks. And every time you upgrade, you will get more failures, but you'll get more passes as well. So your score might get better when you upgrade, or it might get worse.
Avi, running DAC org-wide is limited to a few times a day. Is there any limit on running it for a single workstation?
As of right now, there is not a limit. There will be limits going forward, but we've limited the org. The reason we limited the org to 4, because every time you run that, we get 250 rows inserted into a database. So if you've got 20, 30,000 endpoints, it starts making our servers very busy.
Yes.
So we have limited the org to 4 times a day. We haven't limited the workstation, so you can go and recheck workstations individually if you need to just test something and say, is this going to fix the problem? We will be putting more limits in the future, but we want to make sure that you can test things, especially as there are some failures that aren't actually failures, and right now we're making sure we fix them.
Peter, can I roll back my ThreatLocker version to one of the earliest DAC versions so I only have 20 tests to pass? It's a bold strategy.
Actually, one of the tests that gives you the worst score is ThreatLocker within 2 versions.
Anonymous attendee, can we have I'm a effing DAC head one, please?
No.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Avi, do you recommend everyone go to 10.7.3 at this point?
Yes, absolutely. So, and here's the thing. We're making a change on the release notes because somebody asked us, can we do a N-1? And that is the craziest thing I'd ever heard of in my life, because N-1 means you are deploying a build that with known bugs in. The latest build is always the most stable build. If there are significant changes, then and typically a significant change is normally like 10.7, 10 dot thingy, but then there may be obviously new risk if you're adding new features into it, but 10.73 is the most stable build we have, so you should be using 10.73. I will say, one thing to note, we started protecting for more Java files in 10.7, or was it 10.6?
I think it's 10.7.
10.7. So if you use a lot of jar files, maybe create a policy to allow star.jar for now, and then remove it. It will tell you you'll fail your DAC check with it, but because when you upgrade, you might start seeing certain Java applications that weren't being blocked before that are now being blocked because we expanded our scope of the jar files we allow. So just be careful, or test a few groups of, what do we call the guinea pig group?
Yes. By the way, sorry, we missed something really important. Can we share Danny's screen, please? So we haven't actually shown the DAC for Mac. So can you find the Mac on your devices page, Danny? No, on the devices page.
Oh, we want to show DAC?
Yeah, no, but do it from the devices page. Trust me.
Why? Is it called Mac?
Oh, look, you've got a computer called Rob Sexy Mac in your org.
Self-praise is no praise, Rob. Okay, let's look, application control, monitor only.
Oh, well, technically somebody did
So
that.
what you want me to click on this now?
DAC. Yes.
And these are the DAC checks. How many DAC checks do we have? So we got...
apparently 33.
Rob, you failed.
Yeah, but I didn't set that. Somebody set it so it would show up as a failure in our DAC checks.
Is it showing on the
It is
dashboard
proof
still?
that it's working.
It's on the dashboard, yeah?
Mm.
Okay, let's have a look at the dashboard. We'll find it out together. It should be on here. It's just a... Ooh, look at this. You've got one critical failure on the Mac.
Only one critical failure.
Password meets minimum requirement. We should upgrade that to at least a medium, not maybe a high. Password meets minimum age. This doesn't look like a good Mac. Account lockout in minimum duration. This is a really badly configured Mac.
It was one that was set up this morning.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, Simon, Rob, if we only deploy to Mac, do we win? Yes, Simon, you do.
If you're not... No, you don't win.
Peter, DAC will not be... Sorry. Will DAC be not beta before the end of November?
Yes.
Okay. Anthony, does DAC support Alma Linux?
It does not support Linux yet.
Hang on a second. What's Alma Linux?
I assume it's one of the distos of Linux.
One of the 50 billion distros that break my heart on a daily basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we are working on DAC for Linux. It's a lot more complicated, the checks, because every disto has different requirements for the checks. Certainly the ThreatLocker checks are easier, but the other ones are a bit more complicated. But there's actually a more exciting one than Linux that we're releasing soon.
What's that?
Office 365 or Microsoft 365, because that is where there's more bad configurations than you can possibly imagine. And we will be checking your Office 365 configurations in a future build.
Nice.
And we'll also be adding other cloud plugins as well. So when you add those integrations, we'll go, oh, let's check if you've got I don't know what type of policy, a branding policy in Office 365. Let's check if you've got a token theft prevention policy in Office 365. So we will be checking your Office 365s as well. The more exciting things that are coming out to me is one is the public port scan and the internal port scan from the parent node. The Office 365 DAC is very exciting for me.
Yeah, as Avi said, for Office 365, checking conditional access policies will be amazing.
Yes, well, and most of the stuff is in some kind of conditional access policy, I think, in Office 365, making sure you don't have bad policies.
Anthony, do you need the 365 modules for DAC to scan them? Well, you certainly need a connector.
Yeah, you'll need a connector. I don't know if we need a module for connector. I've never tried. So if you can create, I don't think we should, because I think it's in our interest to tell people the right things to do. But I don't know is the answer, because if we have to ingest, we ingest more logs in Office than we do on the endpoint right now. One of the cool features recently, if you didn't notice, was you can now see all of your Office 365 logs in your unified audit. And we've done some major upgrades of that over the last few weeks. So the detection.
Sexy, that is sexy.
Yeah. What did you just say? Logs without a graphical interface?
Yeah. Clint, what percentage of the checks can Config Manager resolve?
Okay, so I don't know is the answer, but we have a team. I need to go and check where that team is on that are working on making sure, as close as possible, all checks can be resolved by an application control policy, a storage control policy, a network control policy, a detect policy, or a configuration manager policy. Did I miss any? But
No.
not everything will be possible, because if we're checking Office 365, will be a lot harder, obviously. But if there's certain things in the Windows operating system that we cannot script the fix of, like TPM present, I can't fix that with the config manager policy. I don't know if we can fix BitLocker with it though. We can turn on BitLocker with a config manager policy.
Can we? I'm not sure.
I think we do. Let's go into community and type the word BitLocker.
Scott, my DAC has been running for a few weeks and there are no reports.
You had no emails?
Not according to Scott.
Half the people are complaining we're not getting emails, and then we found someone who's not getting, or are getting emails, and then we found. Okay, so
yeah, Scott, give the cyber heroes a shout about that one.
If you just ask somebody and log a ticket, and we'll make sure that's solved. You should be able to see the report in the dashboard, and you should be getting an email at least once a week.
Sorry,
we're running out of time, Rob. Any final questions?
Todd, with Microsoft 365 checks, will be able to push out config changes through ThreatLocker?
That's something we're working on, improving our Office cloud control so we can do more. But it's one of the things we're looking to do on how do we improve cloud control to have more configuration options in not just Office, but third-party vendors.
Andrew, will DAC be another paid module, or is that in the future?
No, DAC is included free of charge in everything, but we will have a compliance module that gives you more compliance reporting, and we'll be able to actually script other third-party checks as well. So you'll be able to say, hey, I want to run this script to check this is running and configured correctly.
Apparently Mike is now in the 100th percentile, so maybe you're now not.
Oh, no.
Well done, Mike. Mike, different Mike, do you have to turn on Mac DAC? No, once you've got DAC enabled for
Mac
the
DAC is
org.
but Mac DAC has to be on the latest build. Is that public?
No, it's alpha at the moment. So you need to be running Mac Agent version 6, which is not.
Yeah, so Mac DAC will be as soon as version 6 is released.
Yes. Randy, where in the Unified Audit do you search for Microsoft 365 logs?
If you've got the connector, it's a good question. I'm pretty sure if you do the action type, I think it's just called. Oh, they do map them though. I have no idea. So if they're in
action type, no. Office 365.
Do you want to pull up something? Don't share your screen. Just pull up on your screen for our internal. I know they're in there.
I'm not logged into our internal. Oh no, never mind. Randy found it.
Okay, that's good. Where was it, Randy?
Yeah, if you could tell us where it was. I think it's just action type Office 365 or something, isn't it?
Something like that. But they're trying to remap everything to the type.
Action type Office 365 management.
There you go. That's one. I think there may be more action types for the graph APIs and things like that. So,
anonymous attendee just said DAC Daddy. I like DAC Daddy.
That's just getting weird.
Kind of.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes to give away tickets.
Oh God.
That's next week.
Oh,
next
no,
week, no tickets for anyone. Sorry.
The department
having
spoiled the fun. That's good.
No having to.
Next week or the week after,
question
technically.
off the top of my head.
Next week is the listing Q&A.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think probably the week after. It depends on you guys.
Okay, well, we can do it next week because we got a continuation of allow listing because we got through.
So Dustin has just put in what I can only assume is a preemptive answer to one of my really easy questions, and it's Rob's sexy Mac.
Okay.
Now, I can think of no other reason why Dustin might type Rob sexy Mac into the Q&A other than assuming that was going to be the question I was going to ask. And Dustin, you are probably right. In fact, we should probably give Dustin a pass for Zero Trust World because that is like 100th percentile clever.
Okay, that's I don't know who Dustin is, but Rob, you can decide if.
I think we should give him a ticket for Zero Trust World at least for that preemptive.
Okay, we'll send Dustin a free ticket for Zero Trust World.
I think so.
Okay, we are out of time, Rob, but we have 2 webinars coming up. We've got a allow listing Q&A next week. We're going to go through more allow listing questions. There's a lot of questions on this and figure out how you should be deploying this, making this right. Don't forget, we have Zero Trust World in February, in March. in March next year. So it's going to be from the 50s to maybe the 60s or 70s. So it'll be nicer weather in Orlando, Florida. And if you didn't get to check it out, go to ztw.com or scan your screen, which I don't think anyone's going to be doing.
I think people don't trust us.
After that, we have a really cool announcement on new dashboard and new features, not dashboard, new threat center in Detect the week afterwards. It's got some really, really cool stuff that
more sexy charts.
We have a dungeon, which is actually this room down here in ThreatLocker. It's a soundproof room with no windows and no light. And we've had our Detect team outside now working down here in the dark, making sure the new sexy dashboard with actual information on it.
And sexy charts.
And some, more important, some really cool features coming to Detect. And we'll be announcing those in 2 weeks from today. So
Dean has just suggested Dak and cheese. And I like this one, bringing sexy Dak. There was never mind. Peter is asking about our dungeon.
Yeah, the dungeon is a really cool sound. So this building that we're currently in used to be EA Sports buildings. And when I came into it, there's this cool room and it's sound padded and it's a theater room and it's great. Apart from I thought we can just keep this room, but there was like tears on the padding and it cost us more money to renovate the entire room. We had to put new flooring in because they just made it with plywood. So we had to put proper raised floors in here. But it's a really cool room. No one can hear the screams. And
okay, anonymous attendee. This is proper clever. So what does DAC stand for?
Don't ask configurations.
Dungeon Action Center.
But that's Detect, and that's it. They've been locked down here.
That's clever. I like that.
Okay, so we have, I'm very excited about presenting this. We have been obsessing over this new threat center and the ability to drill down and do some really cool stuff. So we look forward to showing that off in 2 weeks' time, and everyone get to see and use that as well. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so everyone, don't feel too bad when your DAC report starts going down in percentile as people are deploying it, but hopefully we can get over 90% by the end of November, which will be really good because we're getting into holiday season, and holiday season, otherwise known as hacking season, is where all the attacks happen. So hopefully these reports will help show people why they need to do this, show management, customers, everyone why they need to lock down RDP from the internet, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And just a reminder, check out the release notes, but there's lots of new DAC checks in every single build. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you, Rob, and thank you, team.
Thank you all.
Join us for 3 days in Orlando, Florida in March 2026 for an event designed to equip IT professionals like you with the tools, knowledge, and strategies to navigate the ever-changing cybersecurity landscape. Secure your spot and register to join us for 3 days of immersive learning, collaboration, and skill building with hands-on hacking labs and much more. Network with peers from around the globe. Share experiences and learn from real-world case studies, all aimed at enhancing your capabilities as an IT professional. Elevate your experience at the after-party. Registration is now open. Register now for Zero Trust World 2026 and take the first step towards a more secure tomorrow.